Crossfire Philippines, a legend in the Filipino gaming world. Launched in 2009, CFPH was basically a cultural staple, right up there with karaoke nights and instant noodles. But then, like any online game that gets popular, CFPH slowly crumbled under the weight of its own problems. Cheaters, boosters, publisher drama, and enough in-game freebies to bankrupt a small country. Today, we're unraveling how CFPH went from a national treasure to a pay-to-win paradise haunted by cheaters. For the uninitiated, Crossfire is a first-person shooter developed by Smilegate in South Korea. It launched around the same time as other big FPS games, but stood out for its free-to-play model and creative monetization. They gave Filipino players the same interface as CF West, made a few tweaks, and called it a day. But honestly, it worked. Players didn't care if the UI looked like it was ripped straight from a different server. They had their own version, and that was enough. Game Club handled CFPH from the start, creating one of the biggest online communities in the Philippines. And in 2016, they went all out with a celebrity endorsement by none other than Mocha Uson. Because nothing says intense military shooter like a celebrity with a, let's say, unique fan base. Mocha even got her own skin in the game, sparking a mix of confusion, excitement, and probably a few double takes. But hey, who wouldn't want to play as Mocha Uson in a firefight, right? Love her or hate her, the collab definitely put CFPH on the map in a big way, creating what you could call peak Philippine gaming culture. In 2019, CFPH's honeymoon phase ended when Smilegate Megaport took over from Game Club. New publisher, new problems. Then, in 2024, they threw the game onto their Stove platform, which is probably the most not what you think it is name for a gaming platform out there. The idea was to streamline the experience, but that wasn't the reality. Suddenly, players couldn't log in, accounts vanished into thin air, and customer support might as well have been a myth. For some, it was like watching CFPH just evaporate. This wasn't just the beginning of the end. It was the, I don't even know why I still play this kind of turning point. Now let's talk cheaters, because if you played CFPH, you know they were as common as trees in a forest. The game launched with X-Trap as its anti-cheat, which didn't go great. Cheaters were running wild, throwing wall hacks and aimbots into every lobby. X-Trap tried, but it was basically a revolving door for hackers. In 2018, they swapped X-Trap for XIGN Code 3. And shocker, it didn't really help. Cheaters were still showing up in droves, making every match feel like a free-for-all. To combat this, they introduced bar zones, high-level lobbies where the pros could play unbothered by the chaos. But guess what? Cheaters found their way in there too, proving once again that no wall is hacker-proof. One of CFPH's genius ideas was to keep players engaged by handing out rewards like candy. They had the Fever system, which rewarded you just for showing up. And every week, there'd be another event with more loot. VVIP items, high-level gear, you name it. The idea was to keep players hooked, but after a while, it started to feel like a clearance sale for overpowered gear. When everyone in the lobby has a special item, it stops being special. Soon, players stopped working for rare items. They just logged in to grab whatever the game was throwing at them. CFPH went from competitive shooter to who can log in the most times. It was a mess. Then came boosting. Thanks to boosters, you'd have players with high ranks but no actual skill. Imagine a rookie player staring down a top rank who couldn't hit a stationary target. These lobbies quickly turned into, well, unskilled chaos. A good game needs balance, and CFPH threw that out the window. High ranks became meaningless. It was like playing tag with blindfolds on. And then, because who doesn't love money, CFPH brought in the VVIP items. And these weren't just cool-looking skins. These items had buffs that made regular players feel like they were fighting a boss. VVIP items gave paying players faster reloads, extra health, you name it. For the average free player, it was like trying to fight an army with a plastic spoon. Then there were the publisher changes. First, Game Club, then Smilegate Megaport, then Stove. The transitions were so chaotic, they should have come with a warning label. Players lost accounts, had login issues, and faced a customer service team that, well, let's just say helpful wasn't in their vocabulary. Eventually, the player base began to shrink. The same people who used to spend hours grinding through the ranks were now posting rants about cheaters and pay-to-win garbage on forums. By 2024, CFPH was more of a nostalgia trip than an active community. The loyal fans had moved on, leaving behind lobbies filled with ghosts and cheaters. Crossfire Philippines will go down as a textbook example of how not to manage a game. From peak popularity to a hollow shell, CFPH is a lesson in what happens when player loyalty gets taken for granted. You might say, well, at least we still have memories. And yeah, we do. But those memories come with a side of VVIP gear, hacked accounts, and an anti-cheat system that barely worked. So, RIP CFPH. You deserved better, or at least an anti-cheat that did its job. Thanks for joining this CFPH deep dive. If you enjoyed the journey down memory lane, like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Did you survive CFPH's Wild West era? Or were you one of the cheaters? No shame, we're all friends here. Kinda.